Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Tech in 10, the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs post-game show from the Ruston Daily Leader. I am sports editor Matt Bellinson, coming to you after Louisiana Tech's 35-7 loss to the Kennesaw State Owls on this Thursday evening. A really ugly game. That's just first and foremost my initial thought. Ugly on both sides of the ball. We'll get into the specifics here in a minute. I think before we get into just the deep dive, I appreciate everyone that's followed along, this season. I appreciate everyone that's followed the Tech in 10 videos and all the coverage and everything like that. It is very much appreciated, especially on these weird nights where abnormal kickoff times or dates, that you're not used to. So I appreciate those that have stuck with me and stuck with the coverage, and I just appreciate that. So I wanted to get that out of the way. I think it's one of those things where if you're a Louisiana Tech fan, if you've been watching this football team throughout this season and really throughout the last 4 years, as I have, tonight was nothing surprising. I think that's something that I just have to continue to just tell myself is like I don't know why at this point I'm surprised when the offense continues to struggle. It's one of those things where we talked about it on multiple Tech in 10 videos. I've done some radio hits here in the past couple weeks, and people keep asking me like, "Oh, Louisiana Tech, they're off to a great start. It's a great season." And yes, it is. It was a 4-1 start. You were 2-0 in league play. It was great. You were doing everything that you needed to as far as winning the games. But I pointed out on these videos, and if you're a Tech fan, you knew this as well by watching. This offense is broken. I don't understand week to week why they continue to run the same game plan. They look exactly the same. The ineptitude in the second half, in the red zone now specifically, they're turning the ball over. They can't even score. I mean, they get to the 1 yard line tonight in the fourth quarter and they line up four straight plays in shotgun. It's just kind of mind boggling. Of like, I'm not an offensive play caller, but simple football will tell you, okay, well, there's 1 yard to go. Let's line up our quarterback or you just push. I mean, like again, like it's not that hard. Instead of let's line up 5 yards back from the end zone and then try it. Like it's just stuff that doesn't make sense. It's going to leave me scrambled. But I think first and foremost, I just have to hit on tonight's game first, and then we can get big picture. Tonight's game was just really ugly. Obviously, you give up 35 points. That was the most points this defense has allowed this year. Kennesaw State's backup quarterback, who split reps during the week, throws for 290 yards, 4 touchdowns, and I think completes like 75% of his passes. Just staggering. We had talked about it all season that this defense was really great at taking the ball away. They were great at stopping people in the red zone. But they have given up explosive pass plays, and they have allowed teams to put up a lot of passing yards on them. They've been great in the red zone. They've been great up until this point in holding them out of the red zone and limiting touchdowns. Tonight was not the case. You saw this defense bad at tackling. They did not read, the RPO game for Kennesaw at all. Kennesaw's mobile, quarterback, he just caused them fits all night, and they just also couldn't defend downfield. So it's just one of those things defensively where, again, like I think this defense is still really good. I think tonight was just abnormal. But we said this, right? We said this. There's going to be a night where this defense doesn't come up with two defensive scores. There's going to be a night where they don't have multiple interceptions or takeaways. And what do you fall back on? What happens to you as a team? And we saw this team has no answers, particularly offensively. Again, defensively tonight, I'll have to go back through and watch it again, but. I thought some of the young linebackers, they had some good moments. I thought Jaden Mayfield and Zarek Hill certainly flew to the football. There were definitely some moments where their eyes kind of deceived them, and they certainly were not able to contain some of those RPO keeps. But, for the most part, I don't think the linebackers did a terrible job. I think it was mostly the secondary, and really the run defense kind of broke down for them. It was just really an all-out, just kind of defensive failure. Which again, I think based on how they've played through the first 5 games, I think they're honestly kind of due for a game like this. I mean, they were playing so amazing. They had only given up 7 touchdowns through 5 games. They were top 5 in the country in just about every category. So certainly a discouraging defensive performance. You give up 35 points and you allow a quarterback to throw for nearly 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. It's not a good night. So I want to make that clear. This defense did not play well tonight. They did not play up to their standard. And I don't think just because you're missing Colby Fields, that automatically makes this defense as bad as we saw tonight. I think they just have shown they've been vulnerable in the pass game all season long, and they really struggled to tackle tonight. They really struggled to get off the field on third down. So it's just one of those things where I guess again, I'm not going to necessarily blame the defense because they've been so good this year, but at the same time, the defense certainly did not do its job and get off the field when they needed to at times tonight. But the big story in this game and really just this season, it's just this offense. I've come on here time and time again on these Tech and 10 videos throughout this season and throughout the last 4 years. And I've just repeated the same things of, this quarterback situation for Louisiana Tech just continues to befuddle me. The run game at times looks pretty good, and then they just go away from it, or they just completely shut down as an offensive line. The wide receiver room, they don't really have proven playmakers. Devin Gandy makes a couple nice catches tonight, but by and large, like they don't have playmakers that are proven week to week, and they're just not efficient. And I just don't understand. We spent all off season and we spent all throughout the non-conference play talking about how, oh my gosh, Tony Franklin, this offense is so different now. It's a brand new flavor. The run game, we're going to build off that. The quarterback run game is going to be a nice addition. We're going to score points. It's going to be more efficient. It's going to be different. That was the word that people kept throwing the media's way throughout fall camp, throughout this season in the early goings was, just trust us. This offense is different now. We figured it out. We're further ahead than we've ever been. That's just not true. It's just not true. This offense is exactly where it's been the past 3 seasons. Leading up to this year. I mean, they came into tonight 120th in the country in total offense. I was doing the math. After this game now, they're 119th in the country in scoring offense. There's 134 FBS teams in the country, so it's just one of those things where I guess I just can't expect this offense to produce. Again, they have these flash in the pan moments where we scored 49 points against New Mexico State. Last year we scored 42 points against Middle Tennessee. That's great. What'd you do the rest of your games? What'd you do the rest of the time when defenses figured out exactly what you want to do? You don't produce. You don't score. I guess I'm kind of lost for words at this point because again, and the season's not over. You're 2-1 in league play. Obviously you have an opportunity in a couple of weeks when Western Kentucky comes to town. If you find a way to win that game, you're still very much in the conference race. You're 4-2 overall. Your season's by no means over. I think just the frustrating part is, again, tonight and throughout the Louisiana Tech stretch of the Sonny Cumbie era, the offense of this team and this program has never been able to figure out consistency. And it's just frustrating because I think this defense is good enough to win a conference title. Again, tonight was an ugly night, and they've got to make some adjustments in the bye week. They've got to figure out their pass defense, and they got to figure out who's going to actually cover people, who's going to stay in front of their man. Because that's an issue, no doubt. But this offense is the problem. And again, I understand that Blake Baker gets hurt in the second quarter tonight. I understand that he goes out, but it's not like after that first touchdown drive, like they were humming as an offense. I mean, I'll look through their drive chart here in a second. After their opening drive touchdown, Louisiana Tech didn't score again. They punted 6 times and they had 2 turnovers. Meanwhile, Kennesaw State, again with a backup quarterback, they had 3 straight punts to open the game. And then they scored 5 touchdowns over their next 8 drives. Like that's an example of a coaching staff. That's an example of an offensive infrastructure that clearly has an ability to adjust. It clearly has something built in and baked in as far as playmakers, as far as identity, that you can throw any quarterback in there and you can adjust on the fly. And you can still win games and you can still score later in the ball game. Louisiana Tech cannot do that. I mean, again, I tweeted out, this is the 3rd straight game where the second half, Louisiana Tech's offense just goes completely dark. Over their last 3 games, Louisiana Tech's offense in the second half has 1 touchdown. They have more 3-and-outs than touchdowns in the second half over their last 3 games. Like, I just don't understand it. And, Sonny Cumbie in post-game talks about how, like, oh, we had a really great week of prep and we're super engaged and, we just didn't compete. It's just one of those things, again, as someone that's covered this team for a long time, like, it's just deja vu. It's like, at what point, like, do we have to just say, like, they just don't have answers? Because, again, tonight was not the outlier. Like, again, the final score against the UTEP game, it's 30-11. You have 2 pick sixes in the final 10 minutes, and your offense scores 14 points in reality. So, and then the Southern Miss game, you put up 30, but then your offense doesn't score and punt 7 times in the second half. Like, you have to dig deeper with what this offense has produced this year. Like, again, you probably could have won that LSU game if you brought an offense with you to Baton Rouge. I just don't understand what is going on. I said it in the preseason that I was skeptical that Tony Franklin had not called FBS football in 5 years. And it looks like it. It looks like he has no idea what he's doing. This offense is averaging 19 points per game, which is worse at this point, compared to last year when Cumbie handed off play calling duties. I just don't understand. But then they continue to tell us in press conferences, and they continue to tell us in post game that they're going to figure out solutions and it's going to click. Like we are deep into year 4, like, and this offense has not clicked. I don't understand what the solution is. I mean, you saw it tonight. I think the quarterback room for Louisiana Tech just continues to be a problem. I think Blake Baker has played okay when he's played. Trey Kukuk, I really don't think he needs to keep throwing passes again this year. He just, it was probably one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen. I just don't. I'm not against the dual quarterback system, but he just cannot throw passes consistently. So, and then Evan obviously struggled tonight. Which is one of those things where the announcers kind of kept saying like, "Oh man, like you can't really expect Evan Bullock to be thrown into the fire like this." Like, I guess I don't really buy that. Like, this coaching staff and this program always wants to talk about next man up. And it's not like Evan Bullock is a rookie. I mean, he played 10 games last year. Like, he understands what it takes to win at Louisiana Tech. Like, this isn't some kid that is like fresh off the bench. He's a redshirt. Like, he's played collegiate games. He's thrown collegiate passes. Like, so I guess it's one of those things where quarterback wise, they have no answers, and frankly, some of them can't even stay healthy. The run game, I don't really understand it. Clay Thevenin and Mary Wiggins look fine at times, and then you get down to the 1 yard line and you line them up in shotgun and you can't pick up 1 yard, and then I guess I just don't really get it. And again, if you're a Tech fan, this is nothing new, and it's just disappointing that you come off a bye week. Like, this is not like you've been playing for 7 straight weeks and your offense is just gassed and guys are hurt, and it's you just need a break. Sonny Cumbie, when I specifically asked in the press conference this week, what did you guys work on and what did you improve offensively in the bye week? His answer was, well, we just, we got healthy and we were able to rest. It didn't really seem like you guys did much in the bye week. I mean, like, again, we're just looking at the objective data here. They score, let's look. They score a 13-play, 70-yard touchdown drive, take up nearly 6 minutes of clock. That's great on the opening drive. These are their drives after that. And again, I understand Evan Bullock gets hurt. But punt, interception, punt, turnover on downs, interception, punt, turnover on downs. Like, I'm sorry, like that is just an example that your offensive infrastructure, the play calling, the identity of this team is broken. And I don't know what the solution is, because they've tried different quarterbacks. They've tried different running backs. They've tried different receivers. In 3 years here, they've had 3 different play callers. Like, I don't know what the answer is. And again, it's not doom and gloom. The season isn't over. They're not going to miss a bowl game because of this game tonight. Like, they're still 4-2. They still have an opportunity for postseason play. But not with this offense. Like, let me caveat by saying that. Like, a 4-2 record, that's fine. With this offense, there is no way they are winning a Conference USA title. No way. And so again, they're going to go into another bye week before Western Kentucky comes to town. I don't know who's going to play quarterback. I don't know what the offense is going to look like, but it has to change. Like, it just has to. Because if it doesn't, this team is going to miss on a lot of opportunities, and it's just going to be a shame, because again, I think this defense is still a top 25 unit. There's a lot of great players on this team. I think it's still the best defense in the league, but you probably have a bottom 3 offense in this league. So like, you have to figure that out as a staff of what are we doing in preparation that's not working? How do we keep our guys healthy? And who's going to make the plays on this team? I don't really know. And again, the season's not over. You're 4-2. You're 2-1 in league play. There's still a lot to play for. But like, again, this is nothing new if you're a Louisiana Tech fan. It's the same old story. It's just a different day. This offense continues to not produce. This offense continues to struggle. And if you just look at the history of this program in the Sonny Cumbie era, they have proven that they have not found consistent offense, and they have not found answers. They have tried different players, and they've had multiple bye weeks, and they've had these come to Jesus meetings, and and nothing changes. I mean, like, again, like, the numbers are the numbers. They are bottom 10 in the country in a lot of different categories offensively. 120th in total offense before tonight. I mean, like, the numbers are the numbers, and it's just a fact that this offense is not in a good spot. And I don't really know what the answer is, because you're not going to fire Tony Franklin. I mean, he signed a 2-year contract, and you guys said that it was going to be a different thing this year. So I think that, look, all you can do as a Louisiana Tech fan is you just have to hope. You just have to hope that this is finally the moment. This is finally the bye week where they figure things out and they turn things around, because I just don't know, because it's the, I mean, you can go back through the Tech and 10 videos that I've recorded this season and seasons past. We've had these same discussions before. Like, we've talked about it. We've come on here and, like, man, like, that offense, oof. Like, but then we go into the next week and nothing changes, and they're just going to be exactly the same. So I don't know what the answer is. Again, I wish I did, and if I did, I would certainly share it, but I just don't. I think the horizontal run game for this offense just needs to stop. You got to get downhill. You got to move the pocket more. You got to figure out ways to get the ball out quicker, because these quarterbacks are having a tough time just handling the pressure that's coming their way. So, just bottom line, just a really disappointing night for Louisiana Tech. You had a chance to go 5-1 and come back in a couple weeks to Joya Stadium with a lot of momentum on your side, and you go into your bye week with a lot of things that need to be solved. Because if you don't, a season that started with a lot of promise, it could get away from you. So that's going to do it for this edition of Tech in 10. I appreciate, again, everyone that's following along and listening. Thanks for following along. Have a good one.